one of you.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
This is my home. They're gonna need a wrecking ball to take me out of here.
Good timing, everybody, whether it's morning, evening, or anywhere in between. Welcome to unRekt Traders. Today we're going to take a look at Maker, MKR. We're on the machine right now, looking at the monthly. And again, not a ton of data on the monthly for Maker, but we do have that support at 25.11, and then we have the 3.2 resistance at the high of 43.14. So last month we had a nice pump up here, which if I calculated, we're looking at approximately, let's say 70%. And we came up to the previous resistive levels here before we started coming back down. So what we kind of want to see on this candle, just based upon price action wise, is a return to the 0.5 of this candle. So if I did a quick calculation of that, we would be looking at price coming back to approximately 2,900, let's just say. And that 2,900 would bring us back to this supportive level right here. And then we would hope for continuation of that upward direction. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll see how this candle plays out. But as of right now, just looking at the machine, we have support at 2,500 and then our higher resistive of 3.2, where price only leaves 0.3% of the time, or 0.03% of the time, sorry, at 43.14. Coming into the weekly. Coming to the weekly itself, still pretty bullish. We have a mean reversion on the 10 red here and strong support on the 20 white. So again, we have strong support at 32.80. Our 3.2 is quite high at 48.20, but we do have the return back to the green 10 here, and we're looking at about 28.93. Now we are in the weekly, and we have a new weekly, brand new weekly actually, sorry, today. So we're looking at a bit of time before we get another weekly, obviously. So more or less, really we shouldn't see the body go below 32.80 unless this really pushes down. But even then I still can't see it. So in all reality, this week we shouldn't go below 32.80, which is kind of the top of these resistant points here. And then maybe see a wick down to the 10 or to the 50. But again, the body itself should close. So even if the wick does come down, then it'd be a nice area to take along for the body to close above support at 32.80 for this week. Coming into the 3-day itself, kind of the same thing for the most part. The 2010 here is just kind of coming in, coming out. So there is the possibility that we do break through here and come down to that 29.55 area. But again, as of right now, we're more or less just looking for that 10 return at 33.06. And the breach of this resistive area at 35.40 is probably pretty likely coming down to, like I said before, that supportive area in this range here at 33.30, which brings us to that 10 green. And then from there, we can reanalyze on the lower time frames to see where price really wants to go. On the daily, we have the mean reversion down to the 20 here, which is the white, possible target of 35.21. We're almost there as it is now. And then we have the support coming down at 3,200, which should hold quite nicely for this daily candle today. And then the 10 itself is down, it's trending to the downward direction. Once it starts to curl back up, then we could see the pop trying to get out of this 50 resistance at 36.49 and come back to this 10. But as of right now, it is in that downward direction for the day. Now, it doesn't mean that it won't change directions. It can. But like I said, as of right now, we're looking for this 20 return and then likely kind of remain within the 10 here and the 20 for the rest of today. And then, you know, if we do go into a strong trend, then yes, we could push down to the supportive area at 32.05. And that's pretty much about it, really. So that'd be the extreme move for the day. And then maybe up to this resistive area. But as of right now, between the 10 and the 20 is what I can see. And we'll see if that 50 resistance can hold and push us down to that support. We'll look at lower time frames to see what they say. On the 4-hour, again, we have our mean reversion on the 200 now, coming down to possible of 31.30. Again, 100 mean reversion at 35.60. We are trending to the downward direction, but that 10 is starting to pop up. Now, if we look at the 50 here, the 50 is a little bit lower on this, just below that minus 100. So we could pop up to that resistive area 36.40, maybe a little bit of a wick to that, to the 10 red here. And then likelihood is we'll probably push to that 100 or down into this 3.2 at 34.50. So we'll see how this kind of plays out. So a little bit of up. Hopefully it'll stay in trend and we can continue to push down. The 1 hour, again, we're in that trend to the downward direction on the 1 hour. 10 is starting to push up, but we have quite a bit of resistance sitting at these 36.20 levels. So what we could see is this price kind of move up into, this fair value area here, coming up into the resistive area, and then trying to get liquidity at this 35.60. So a little push up and then push down. So we can assess this as it plays out. But the trend, we're hitting the 20, staying in trend to that downward direction. We have a bit of resistance here, so it'd be nice just to kind of come up into it and then take out liquidity one more time, coming to this 3.2, and then see how it plays out from there. So we'll go into the Nexus. We do have a new weekly on the Nexus. So this gives us a good option for making some profits on the Nexus itself. I think what I'll do is I'll go in through this way. We'll look at the higher time frame first. And let me just minimize these guys. And then I'll maximize this one. So come up to a higher time frame so we can see it a little better. So again, on the yearly itself, we've had a nice yearly pump. It was a bullish neutral, but we did, we came down and we opened up above it. We came down into the neutral. We didn't tag the actual pivot, but we hit the top of the range. Same thing with the quarterly here. And then we kind of pushed up, finding quite a bit of resistance on yearly R1 until we popped through. And once we popped through that yearly R1, then we had the nice push up almost to the yearly R4, which is very bullish, to be honest with you. Now on the quarterly, we do have that naked quarterly down below us. And currently, it's probably not very far, only a couple percent likely. So 1.6% to the top of the range. If it does come to the pivot, then we're looking at about a 12% drop, which brings us to that 31.30 that I was mentioning earlier on the machine. And if we, now I will say too, because we have the new quarterly, even though it does want to come down into this range, ultimately overall we are looking for a continuation to the upward direction on the quarterly until it breaks this 27.30 price. Once it breaks 27.30 price, then we're looking at it coming to like the 3-month S1 or into the lower support range of the previous. Now will it get there? It's questionable, but that would be that 1600s. But until this happens, we have to worry about it dropping below that 27.50 first. And we are expecting continuous upward direction. Now we do want it to hit that pivot, but we'll see how it plays out. Coming into the lower time frame, which is on the weekly. Now we have just hit the top of that. We have just hit the top of that monthly. So we did come down, we opened up above it, came into that monthly perfectly, hitting the top of the range. Again, we haven't hit that pivot, but again, same thing with that quarterly, where we're looking for the continuation in the upward direction until it breaks this lower level of 2900. Now, if it breaks that level 2900, then we're looking at coming into here at 2443 or to the previous support at 2096. Now, I'll also point out that this monthly was an extremely tight range. So we were expecting an explosive move, and you can see that we actually got that explosive move on this monthly with the tight range. This one here is a little bit tighter, or sorry, wider. So we are kind of expecting a range bound month for this month, and then see how it all kind of plays out. Now on the weekly, I'm going to have to come to a smaller time frame because it's brand new. And on the smaller time frame, oops. So the weekly itself is a neutral bearish actually. So let me just turn off the monthly real quick so we can see the bottom of that previous weekly range, which should be right on it. Yeah. So this weekly here is well, actually it is bullish, but it's a bullish neutral, so it's not super strong. Now we did open up below that weekly. So typically what we're looking for is for it to come down to the previous week low. So we bring that up. We look for it to come to the previous week low or the daily or the weekly S1. Now we got the previous week low, the weekly S1 sitting at 34.40. So we'll see if it can continue down to here. If it can get to here, it's a nice long to come back up into this weekly range. Now, getting to that weekly, we are looking for the bottom of the range, a possible 3.26%. And then if we actually come in straight to the pivot, then we're looking at that 4.8%. So wouldn't be a bad idea to enter just a very small long position, hoping to come into this weekly with the very strong possibility of coming into this weekly S1 before coming back up for that 7%, or even just take it by half and hit the previous week low, depending on how you want to play it out. So the potential is there to come into this weekly. Now, it doesn't mean that it will this week, could be next week. But as of right now, we hit that previous week low. Possibility to come into here is there. Now, the weekly S1 is also a possibility. And then from there, you could enter DCA in the second time or enter in for the first time. And then either get out at the previous week low or hope for the come right into this weekly area. But what are we looking for? This weekly is above the previous one, even though it's neutral. Typically, when it's when it's inside the previous range, we're looking for a bit of a trend change. Now we just had a nice bullish push up, so we're looking for, if we do get the trend change, then we'd be looking for it to come back down, like I said, to at least the 0.5 candle of that monthly. So, but realistically, we're looking for this. Now we are already below the pivot. So to get that bullishness, we have to get above that 38.11. When we get above that 38.11, this is our liquidity level for the most part. So we'll be looking at taking out that 40.60 level. If we don't break that level and we break back down again, then we can assume the trend change is in effect. And then we can pretty much target, well, let's just say this level here next, really at 31.40, 31.50. And I think that 31.30 is kind of what I was looking for in the previous levels. All right, so that's what I got on Maker for this week for the most part. Yeah, I think that's about it. So thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe if you like the content. It helps the channel grow. And I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.
Visit unRekt.me and download our free powerful indicators. And join our community of traders in our Discord server and get full access to the Machine Suite Indicators, the Nexus Suite Indicators, and the Nexus Screener.